sticking with the topic of human pieces of shit, let's move into and discuss Dan Snyder and the owner of the Washington Commanders football team, Redskins, whatever you want to call them. Uh, Within the last week or so, week or two, or something like that, he has actively been searching to sell the team. He reached out to a bank. I think it was the Bank of America that he was reaching out to for the Commanders and trying to figure out how to sell off his shares of the company and the organization. And this is coming on the heels of the alleged emails, the alleged misconduct of taking lewd photos. I don't necessarily know if they were all nudes of the cheerleaders, but lewd photos, poor interactions with other individuals as far as it came to the organization is concerned. So obviously there's speculation about Dan Snyder's true intentions. Again, like I said, with the Bank of America securities to employ all options for the sale of the Commanders franchise. Now, Jay Glazer reported that Snyder is indeed planning on selling the entire franchise, not just portions of his share, so that he would still be majority of in control and getting rid of some of it, but to get rid of all of it. Because it's not a majority stake that we're talking about, raising funds for a new stadium as well, because the stadium aspect of the sale also comes into play. The selling price was always expected to be very high. The asking price allegedly is around $7 billion, which would be a massive return on the investment that Snyder's team bought back. I think he got it for $900 million with two partners at the time. It would also be an NFL record, which other owners would definitely like to see. However, Ian Rappaport reported there had been heavy interest in purchasing this team, and we've already heard about several potential buyers who plan on bidding on said team. The process is expected to be completed as soon as March. Now, if any of the fans had anything to say in this matter, the team would also have the team sold off as of yesterday, if not tomorrow, because Snyder is doing his very best to embarrass himself and the franchise on his way out. Now, this past Wednesday, it was revealed that the DC Attorney General, Carl Racine, was going to be making a major announcement regarding the organization on Thursday. Fittingly, the Commanders subsequently released a statement, quote, "Less than 3 months ago, a 23-year-old player on our team was shot multiple times in broad daylight. Despite the out-of-control violent crime in D.C. today, the Washington Commanders learned for the very first time on Twitter that the D.C. Attorney General will be holding a press conference to make a major announcement related to the organization tomorrow." So basically, he's directing flames at the Attorney General as it comes out that he's going after DC and the worst of everything. And he's using Robinson as a shield. Robinson being the rookie running back that was shot during an attempted robbery a few months back. It's his way of deflecting a pending investigation. Now, that being said, going back to what I was saying earlier, as far as selling the organization, there are some top names in the celebrity sphere, if you want to call it that, whatever the term would be. Obviously, number one, if you look down the entire line of billionaires, all the way down, like number one is Elon Musk. We already had our conversation about him. Now, number two, Jeff Bezos. So Jeff Bezos, which I don't really understand this whole argument or this conversation, but Jeff Bezos, he himself could flat out buy the Commanders outright. I think he is somewhere around $170 billion. So if the organization's going for $7 billion, like that's like $20 to you and me. Like, I mean, that's chump change to him. So I don't really understand why what I'm about to say makes any sense, but somehow Jeff Bezos and former rapper, retired rapper, whatever you want to call him, Jay-Z, are somehow like business partners on the matter and currently looking to purchase the Washington Commanders. Now, on a complete side note, former player Robert Griffin III, RG3, he is also interested in purchasing uh, the team or whatever you want to call it. And he has reached out to the Twitterverse, social media, whatever, and basically kind of, I don't know, created a Green Bay Packers situation where, like, let's have the city own the team. Like, we don't have to have like one singular owner. Let's all have a say in the matter. Now, all that's well and good. However, again, I go back to needing a new stadium. So if you're an Eagles fan, if you're watching and you're an Eagles fan, cool. If you're not, then let me paint you a picture. Last season, we had issues down in Washington when their guardrails collapsed and they took out Jalen Hurts, which he was fine. But like their stadium is falling apart. It's not a great stadium. It has its own issues. So the question becomes, you know, what's it going to take? Big scheme, grand picture. So we're saying $7 billion. Like the cost of the team itself does not cost $7 billion. It does not. But part of it will cost to have a new stadium made. Now, to have a new stadium made, to buy a new team, to have this whole thing, literally, we just came up with the team this year, which is Washington Commanders. So to be the Washington Commanders, last year, Washington football team, who's to say if you create, or not create, but if you sell off the team and you have a new ownership, a new stadium, new whatever, we could go round 3 with a new name and restart the whole thing. Not saying it won't be in, not saying like we're going to move out of Washington, but we could get rid of Commanders because I don't think a lot of the people down in Washington or their fans really enjoy the idea of their name being the Commanders. I know there's a lot of historical wins and championships and everything with the Redskins, but obviously they're not going to stick with the Redskins because it's, PC, and that's the word. Again, like I said earlier in the show, it's 2022. We can't be called that anymore, so we got to figure out something else. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next, but I don't know what that's going to be. All I know is Dan Snyder is a piece of shit, not a good guy, and we'll see what happens in the coming weeks.